Everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to do Green Lantern Dragon Lord Volume 2 of 3 by Doug Moon's Paul GULACY and Joseph Rubinstein. Let's dive in because I have a lot to talk about. So, like I said, always say, if you want to know what's going on, check out my Volume 1 here on my channel, Darksiders Comics. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube jazz. And check out what's this all about. So I'm going to dive right into the story. The Emperor has, I don't know, they gave him a feast. There's a circus here, and they want to please the Emperor, right? And the Emperor is very, very happy because, well, it's beautiful weather and sweet perfumes, and it's all perfect, right? But our hero, Jong Li, who has now the power of the Green Lantern, is now infiltrating the palace because he wants to rescue a woman because he vowed to do so, right? But he did that without his ring and his lantern, and there's a reason for that, and I'm going to talk about that, right? So he goes in, and he's taking out some guards, and also he meets up with people smoking opium, and he says, "Decadence draped in splendor." So this guy says, leave us. Well, that's an easy life, smoking opium, for the rest of the day, doing nothing. All right. And then here's a sound. And it's this general, and the general wants to have Jade Moon. Jade Moon is the concubine of the Emperor, right? And the general has a thing for her, and he swore that she will his lover one day, right? And so he basically forces him onto her, right? And he says, and she scratches her face. And he says, "Now you will scream all louder, Jade Moon. You will scream in terror and pain." But then Jong Li comes in, and he saves her for now. And he says, "You, the mystic from the hill, I am Jong Li, whom you besieged in the Dragon Temple. My face and my failure haunted me ever since, and I have come to remove their curse. Your unanswered plea will now be answered. Prepare yourself, Jade Moon, for rescue." So the general is, of course, not pleased. He says, "Your temple was burned to the ground. That was turned to a tomb and burned to the ground. Your master and fellow mystics are nothing but wind-touched ash. Why and now how you survived is a mystery. Solve now." And then we have a great fight scene, right? And I always think Doug Moon is a really good choice for visual storytelling, great art. I mean, you have to check out his Terminator series. Man, these explosions is wow. And again, look at this fight scenes. It's quick, it's kinetic, and he's jumping away, doing acrobats, which you don't see in modern comics anymore. Also, the fight scenes go on for a long time, and you can say, of course, well, this is more like a graphic novel. I admit that, but still, you can do great fight scenes in floppies, right? Because in modern comics, you do, I don't know, 2 fight scenes and maybe 3, and very close up, and you barely see anything, and it's very uninspiring, not kinetic at all, pretty boring in my opinion. And but we see here, look at this his stance, how he looks and all that stuff, right? Because he was winning, but now, oops, oh no, the guards, the royal guard is here, and these guys are like say, "Yeah, we're gonna kill you," right? And that's so cool, right? And so the general says, "Kill him," right? And the fight continues, and like I said, it looks great, but he has a hard time defending himself. He's sweating, and we see him breaking stuff like armor and like this. It's a visual feast in my opinion, and that's one of the reasons that I don't like modern comics anymore. I really miss this, right? That lives are at stake, that you feel the danger through the pages, right? And I mean, like this, you have this, panel here that flows right into this panel, and he jumps over it, and the other one's like, "Oh, wow," right? And And he says, now you die. And then he says, wait for your general's command. No, don't wait, kill him. And then he ducks and he just, just like in the movies, right? He's just crawling away. It looks so cool. It really does. And then he grabs the arm of Jade Moon and also, does this. Is that how you call drapes, right? So he uses the drapes to blind the enemy. And like I said, it's so cool. And then he just, jumps and runs away. But then the other ones see that, hey, it's him. Who? The miracle worker with the heron concubine. It looks like Jade Moon, Emperor, your favorite. And they are escaping the palace. And he's still kicking ass. And great shots, by the way, great wide shots. And basically you see everything. There's not a lot of close shots, which I like because, again, that's part of the narrative. That's part of the visual storytelling. That is also why immersion is very important. Because if we have only close-ups, right, and we make everything black, like in modern comics, we don't see this. So this is immersive for me because I know where they are. I know that they are trying to escape the palace, right? That's the storytelling. So the other ones, so the Emperor says, I was guarding your favorite harem, the concubine Jade Moon, when I was taken by surprise. And silence. As the Emperor, my everyone is mine. Right now I want three things and three things only. The stolen girl, the so-called miracle worker's head, and his so-called magic ring. If these three things are not mine, General Shan, I shall want your other eye. He's not messing around. Meanwhile, our heroes, it's not really heroes, but our escapees, is probably, so he digs up the ring and also his lantern, and he says, but JOSEF questions, and he says, no more talk, we have escaped, but the Emperor's search is long and remain far from safe. We must disappear into the forest. So they do that, and then we go slow down a little bit, and this is the part where Doug Moench writing shines, right? Because the visual part is from, the artist, Paul GULACY. But then when it comes to Doug Moench, who's probably becoming, if not, my favorite storyteller, favorite writer, because I'm going to tell you. So these two have a nice moment, right? Our lips meet for the first time, awakening, as if by magic, all my senses. There is a sight of a perfect beauty cloaked in the moon, its glow reflected by the glade's tranquil pool, the feel of a sleek skin shuddering under my barest touch, even if I caress each shoulder at its most pleasing point. The sound of her throat's wordless music, blending with the calls of crickets and night birds, the hushed sighs of stirring trees. Wow. And it goes on, right? And it goes on, and I really like that, right? I just, like I said, it feels that you are in this moment, when it comes to writing, and it's not surface level. The Doug Moench is really going in, try to pull you in as well with his writing, and also coming back to great art, the reflection in this Green Lantern, so cool. So she says it's strange. There's no way to open it, no way to fill it with oil, or even to light it. So Jong Li says it's not a normal lantern. So she says, is the ring symbolic? Is this an heirloom of your birthright? And says, both objects are precious, and they are mine. But I am not certain I have any right to possess them. They may even be evil, I do not know. How could a Green Lantern, which does nothing, possibly, it does many things. But last night I found a greater power, a purer power. Power? Yes, Jade Moon. Please, Jade Moon, ask me no more questions about these talismans. Not until I have learned the answers for myself. Yes, hero's journey. I like it a lot. Speaking of great art, look at this, how Paul draws the hair, right? Instead of, modern comics, let's just do something and pull some pink color over it and call it a day. I really like the flow of it, right? So, because, gravity and all that stuff. Pretty cool. But they are being attacked and by assassins, right? And so Jong Li defends himself, and but you know, he's too strong, and he's even slicing off his his arm, and yeah, kills him. Jong Li has a lot of, I mean, Jade Moon has a lot of questions, right? Um, so they realize they are in complete danger. They need to have to run for a long time, right? And then more assassins, but then, you know, Jade Moon is not a helpless damsel in distress like certain people calling on, you know, social media, because, right, how do you say, toxic masculinity? No, she's a strong female character, but she is being rescued by the one that really wants to help her, right? But she is no helpless damsel in distress either. So they are, how do you say, it's the yin and the yang. They are complementing each other. Probably that's the right word. And he even admits that by saying, perhaps Jade Moon, I should rely more on you, right? But at one point when they are resting, they are being, you know, overwhelmed by these assassins because they found him, right? And he gets, you know, he's how do you say? There's too many of them. So this assassin says, the emperor still wants the ring now, or I open her throat. Just as before in the temple, my own strength and skill is not enough to save Jade Moon. She is my love, but I am powerless to protect her. Yes, the ring. There is no other way. And then this guy says, green magic? And so Jade says, the stories are true. There really is a low man of great power, foretold by the omen in the sky, and champion of the people, and he is you. Yes, Jade Moon, it's true. This ring was given to me by a messenger from the heavens. It holds the power of miracles. It can do anything, lifting us even to the stars. Loving her so much, I cannot resist sharing the glory of my great gift. I succumb again to selfish ego, and together we make love high above the hard earth, held aloft by the softness of green light. Man, I love this so much. You know, and normally I have something negative to say about certain comics, but I don't know, I'm totally immersed in this. Everything, the flow of the story, the art, the way it's been writing, the way of the writing goes, you know, it's so really well done. But, you know, next morning brings us back to Earth and harsh reality. We can go no farther, Jade Moon, not on this path. There must be more than 100. So, yeah. We will detour this way. I know a place. What place? A place. A village. Han village. Why not use your ring, your power to simply know? I could not avoid using it last night, but the power may be a curse, he says. The true curse has a human face, says Jade. The emperor's face, he is evil, and yet no man dares challenge him. Only a higher authority may. Your power is all the authority you need. Okay, but now comes the conflict, right? So we see a little bit of a recap what's happening in the last volume, right? So he explains it to him. So opposing the emperor's evil is one thing, Jade Moon, but opposing the emperor himself, I think, may be vainglorious. Another word that I never heard of, but I don't know, it sounds cool. And I think you have been sheltered, Jong Li, by your temple and your masters and your dragon lords. So now her story comes into play in telling her side of how she grew up. In this matter, I am far more worldly and cynical, having already opposed the emperor himself on an intimate basis in the royal bedchamber. So Jong Li thinks that the emperor can redeem himself because he thinks by not using the power of the ring, he can lift himself to be a better man, and not using the lure of the green, you know, the green light. He thinks that he can be a better man, and thus he tries to thinks in his head that the emperor can do him himself too, right? So he says, if I can resist power of corruption, hoping to overcome it, then surely so too can a man as great as the emperor. Clearly you do not know him. But surely he must have been given the chance to redeem himself, to prove himself worthy of his vast power. And she says, but Jade Moon does, is, like I said, cynical. So they go to Han village, but it's been destroyed. And this old woman says, an example, they say, of what happens to those who cannot pay the emperor's tribute. Then those soldiers were not looking for us, Jade Moon. And yeah, they were looking for, gold. And I knew the emperor was corrupt, but this magnitude of his evil slaughtered children. Wow. So, and then we see the origin of Jade Moon, that she was not born a concubine, but she was a young woman. She was once happy and free, but then everything's changed. Her parents died, and they were murdered. And they were slave traders. They captured her and they brought her to Long Mountain, a place once majestic, which now serves as a natural fortress for bandits, thieves, and cutthroats, and in whose hellish caverns I suffered their abuse, she says. After endless months, I was finally rescued by strangers bearing the prize, a sack of money bought by the procurers of the emperor's whims. First stolen, my life was now bought and sold. I was no longer mine, enduring new abuse every night of the long journey. I was dragged from the caverns of Long Mountain to the walls of the Forbidden City. And then, after my shackles were removed in the luxury of the royal palace, the true horror began. And look at this face of Jong Li. My only release was the source of my love, born of hate. My son, fathered but never accepted by the emperor, and anything more than another possession. He shares my birthmark, a crescent like a fresh moon, although his here on his cheek. But Jong Li remembers him. He says, I met him in the village of Han, and I fed him. And she says, is he still alive? I lied to her. Yes, Jade Moon, among the peasants of a poor village. But he was happy and well. Once he was fed, yes. I did not tell her that it was in Han village, this very blaze of blood and ashes, where I last saw her son alive. So, yeah, so she still says hope, right? And, okay, so they're going to sleep. But he cannot sleep because he tried to meditate. But in his head, he's hearing the words of his master, right? About the people who live poorly, master, while the emperor live lavishly at their expense. Why is this tolerated? None, because none of may challenge the emperor, Jong Li, not with higher authority. But there is no higher authority, master. Higher than that of the emperor. Not on this world of men, as it exists today, where the emperor rules supreme, but once in the long ago golden age, ruled by the dragon lords? So it seems, that the dragon lords are no more, but there was a mountain where the power was once their height, but it's now waning because the power is now gone, because there's not much dragon lords. So he's using the power of the green to talk to his master about what he's going to do, right? And he says, you must reach the mountain crown by overcoming the evil at its heart, by fighting, by transcending evil to a higher good. But surely evil will fight. Surely, for evil knows no other way, right? So Jade wakes up and she sees what's happening. And she says, you talking to yourself, right? Because his master is dead. So it's more like a subconscious thing that she's doing, right? And he says, I must leave morning, Jade Moon, to find the last dragon lords and commune with them, thereby receiving their grace and higher authority. But there are no dragons atop of that mountain. You are wrong. I was there, Jong Li, in chains. There are only bandits and slavers, infesting the mountain's caverns. All the more reasons to go, to defeat, and rise above their evil. So he is pretty stubborn, right? And so she tries to talk him out of it, but he says, no, I need to do what I need to do. But he will leave the lantern here because he feels the need to prove himself, and not that his ego must be in the way, because the power of the Green Lantern is too, it's too tempting, right? So he doesn't want to be corrupted. But she says, but then your power will wane because he needs to recharge his ring every time. But Jong Li doesn't, listen. So he just falls on the floor and goes to sleep, right? And she says, sleep while your power fades to nothing, unless. But then while he's asleep, she's just charging the ring. And then next day, Jong Li waits, and she kisses him. I must go on this quest. Then go and earn your power before it's too late, before those who have no power die waiting for you. That's powerful, man. And he says, Jong Li, while you slept, the power in your ring faded to nothing. Jade Moon, not until I earned the right to use the power by not using it. Wow, this is so cool, so cool. And then he goes on the journey, and look at this visuals, man. It looks so great. And then, yeah, so the general found out because people saw him, right, into these regions, and he wants to have revenge. And it ends, you know, that he is going into this dragon. It almost looks like a dragon, right? You're going up. See? Yeah. And, you know, where he must probably fight his demons. We're going to find out in the next one, guys. I think this is awesome. I think this is a very good comic. So one more to go. Guys, let me know what you think about it. Leave a comment below. It would help a lot. Thank you so much. As always, see you next time. Bye-bye.